22-year-old community college student Jasmine Pace had plans to spend Thanksgiving 2022 with her family. To her mother's surprise, she sent a text message last minute canceling those plans. On Jasmine's Facebook account, there was a new post. It read, "Enjoying Thanksgiving with my baby." Except the photo accompanying the post was not from Thanksgiving. In this photo, Jasmine's distinctive tattoos were missing. It had to have been taken months earlier. Concern turned to panic as her family realized the implications. No one knew where Jasmine was.
So this is getting crazy right off the bat. Somebody has sent a picture, and it was an old picture. Okay, and this was a picture taken before she had a tattoo. Okay, so somebody is trying to trick the family.
And someone was online pretending to be her.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.
The night before Thanksgiving 2022, Jasmine Pace left her mother's home in Chattanooga, Tennessee at just before 11:30 p.m. She drove her white Chevy Equinox. The next day, Katrina Pace received a message from her daughter's phone. She planned to stay at the home of her friend Emma for the rest of the week, the text read. Jasmine had recently lost her grandmother to cancer, so when she opted out of the family gathering, it didn't immediately raise alarm bells. She had occasionally chosen to be out of contact for brief periods as she worked through her grief. That abruptly changed, however, following a new post on Jasmine's Facebook page. "Enjoying Thanksgiving with my baby," it read. At first, what struck Katrina about the post was the revealing outfit her daughter wore. It was not characteristic of Jasmine to post such a revealing photo of herself online.
Yeah, y'all got to be careful posting this kind of stuff online, because ain't no telling who is looking at this stuff. Now, already out the gate, the mother is kind of suspicious as to why her daughter would post such a revealing picture on social media.
It was another aspect of the image that sparked waves of panic for Jasmine's father, Travis Pace. Jasmine's many tattoos formed a kind of timeline, each obtained on a different date, months apart. In this image, Jasmine's extensive tattoos on her upper right arm were missing. This post was not what it claimed to be.
All right.
Katrina spoke with Jasmine's friend Emma and confirmed what she had already suspected by that time. Jasmine was not with her family for the week, as the text had claimed. Several other friends and family members had received messages, ostensibly from Jasmine as well.
So evidently, Jasmine had been getting tattoos, and each time she got a tattoo pretty much was telling a story in her life. So now somebody has posted a picture saying it's a recent picture of Jasmine. However, the tattoos are missing. The tattoos that told a story, gave a timeline. That tattoo is now missing.
Though no one had spoken with her directly. In each instance, the messages stated that the 22-year-old wished to be alone. The family began immediately to search for her. Jasmine's Chevy SUV was equipped with a GPS feature called My Chevy. The My Chevy app allowed her mother to track the location of the vehicle.
Good.
It was found parked outside of a building of condominiums off of Mountain Creek Road in Chattanooga. By the time the vehicle was discovered, it was already 8:30 p.m. on November 26th, 4 days after Jasmine had last been seen, leaving her mother's late on the 22nd.
So why did it take 4 days? You don't hear from your daughter for 4 days. You get this fake picture. I don't know. Why did it take so long to get the ball moving?
As far as the family was aware, Jasmine did not know anyone at the Signal View condos where the Equinox was parked. When they accessed the vehicle, the driver's seat had been pushed back. It seemed that someone much taller than Jasmine's petite 5'2" stature had last been behind the wheel. A call was placed to 911 to report her disappearance. Chattanooga police arrived and took a report detailing what the family had discovered.
We want her home and we want her safe.
They found the car. However, the driver's side seat was pushed back. It was pushed back. So somebody has been driving this car other than Jasmine.
Bailey Putman is doing anything she can to try to bring her childhood friend home. Jasmine Pace hasn't been seen since November 22nd. Chattanooga police are investigating the case as a missing person.
Her mom has not an ounce of sleep. I don't think she is 8.
Jasmine was last seen here on surveillance video leaving her mom's house. They believe she was trying to leave town to grieve a recent death in the family, but they knew something went wrong when she didn't show up to Thanksgiving dinner.
And that is so very unlike her. There's not a day that they don't hear from Jasmine, let alone an hour.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You haven't heard from your daughter on a regular basis. True, she just lost her grandmother. She said she wanted some time to herself. But still, 4 days? That's ridiculous to me.
Katrina also contacted the family's cell phone provider. Jasmine was on their family plan, which granted her mother access to her phone records. There had been no calls placed from the phone for days. With the call log in hand, the frantic mother began calling every number listed. She did so in the presence of police. There was one number that Jasmine had connected with for over an hour on the night of the 22nd. When Katrina tried this number, the phone connected to a young man that Jasmine had met on the dating app Bumble. Jason Chen was a computer science major at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. The two had been dating for several months, though the relationship had not been serious enough to warrant an introduction to her parents. Neither Katrina nor Travis had met Jason. The computer science student was informed that Jasmine was missing. Had he heard from her? Not for days, he said. And when they had last spoken, it had only been for a few minutes.
And as you can see, there is the tattoo in question. And so actually, Jasmine was on a dating app, and she met this guy, Jason, and they started dating. Okay, so now the friend has Jasmine's telephone. She's going through the telephone, calling the last couple of numbers that were logged into that telephone, and one of the numbers was Jason. Okay, and Jason is the guy that Jasmine started dating via that app.
Katrina knew this to be a blatant lie.
He just lied, said that he hadn't talked to her. He talked to her for a few minutes Monday when she was with me at the bank. He talked to her for 71 minutes. He would remember that. He talked to her for...
So Jason has told a lie. He said when he did talk to her, it was just for a couple of minutes, but actually it was 71 minutes. So what was that phone call all about?
Over an hour, and he just lied.
Jason's lack of concern was another red flag. Katrina pleaded with officers to take further steps to investigate, but they did very little. Jasmine was an adult, and there were no clear signs at that point in time of foul play. A report was written and contact information exchanged before they left the frustrated parents on their own once more. So Katrina and Travis took matters into their own hands.
Good.
They began knocking on every door at the condominium complex. No one had seen Jasmine.
So there was no need for her car to be at that condominium because they're claiming Jasmine didn't know anybody who lived there, but her car was found there.
A security guard agreed to share the camera footage of the white Chevy entering the parking lot.
Good.
With the timestamps provided on the My Chevy app, they narrowed in on the footage. On November 23rd, just past 8:30 p.m., the SUV drove into the lot and in the direction of the location where it was later found parked.
All right.
The driver could not be identified. Unnoticed on Katrina's cell phone until this time was one final text message that had been sent to her from Jasmine in the early morning hours of November 23rd. There was no message, just a pin-dropped location showing where her device was at that time. It was received at 2:18 a.m. Her daughter had never sent a message like this to her before, certainly not in the middle of the night. The day after their concerns were dismissed by police at the condos, the family promptly went to the location from the message.
Okay, so evidently, Jasmine's cell phone just did a little ping to her mother. No text message whatsoever, giving up the location of maybe not Jasmine, but for sure her cell phone.
Apartments at 110 Tremont Street. Again, the desperate parents knocked on every door. All
Okay.
but one, apartment 210, answered or was accounted for. Neighbors recounted that they had heard a loud disturbance from the direction of that unit in the early hours of November 23rd, around 2:15 a.m. Recollections vary, but somehow, Katrina and Travis made their way inside apartment 210. A notebook inside the door revealed the name of its occupant, Jason Chen.
Okay. All right.
It was a small unit, open concept with the kitchen only.
So the neighbors are saying they heard loud noise coming from that apartment just days ago. So maybe Jasmine and Jason got into an argument and maybe something went by the wayside.
Feet from the couch. A hallway led to the only bedroom. There was one bathroom and a laundry unit stacked inside of a closet. Most of the apartment was visible immediately upon walking in. On the kitchen counter sat a small travel bag. It belonged to Jasmine. Cleaning supplies sat out. In the drawer of a desk, Travis discovered his daughter's driver's license along with her credit cards. These he pulled out and left sitting in plain view.
Okay, so inside of Jason's apartment was a lot of Jasmine's belongings. So where's Jasmine?
Chattanooga police were once again called out. Officers spoke with Katrina once more. They also spoke with the neighbors. Then they left. Believing that law enforcement was proving useless to them once more, Katrina re-entered the apartment multiple times over the next few hours.
Good.
She took notebooks and electronics, multiple cell phones, a camera, and an iPad, anything that she thought could give an indication of her daughter's location. The parents also searched through the dumpsters outside of the building. It was close to midnight before the Chattanooga PD returned to 110 Tremont with a.
Sometimes these parents can turn into detectives when they want to find out what's wrong with or where are their loved ones. Okay. A lot of these cases have been solved by the parents.
Search warrant and began formally to commence their search.
They got a search
During the
warrant.
initial walkthrough, investigators noted what appeared to be bloody stains on the hardwood floor, in the living room, absorbed by the grouting in the bathroom, on the bedroom carpet. Spatter was identified on the doors in the bathroom wall. The abundance of cleaning supplies was also extremely concerning. Trash bags had been emptied. Police checking the dumpsters found 2 white sneakers and a pair of blue trousers.
At this point, do you guys suspect Jason? Do y'all suspect him? I don't know. I'm leaning towards Jason.
These items were collected. Back inside the unit, they spotted fragments of broken glass in the living room. Indications of a violent incident were accumulating. Furniture appeared to have been moved around. In the bedroom, there were marks on the carpet, which indicated where furniture had sat for some time and had been subsequently moved to other parts of the room.
Okay, is Jason trying to cover something up, moving this furniture? Is he trying to cover up something inside that apartment?
The rearrangement of the room, it seems, was likely done in an attempt to cover a large stain that was spotted underneath the bed.
Bingo.
On top of the bed sat a kitchen knife.
Okay.
In virtually every room, investigators identified stains that could be blood. The crime scene unit was called in to spray down areas of the apartment with Blue Star, the forensic agent used to identify areas where blood may have been cleaned up or invisible to the naked eye. The hallway lit up. The case of Jasmine Pace's disappearance.
So there's a whole bunch of blood in that apartment, okay? Why is there a butcher knife in the bedroom? For what reason? That makes no sense.
became a homicide. Detectives obtained security camera footage from the apartment building and the surrounding area. They were able to piece together a timeline of Jason Chen's movements with the aim of hopefully gaining an understanding of where they might find Jasmine Pace.
Good, good.
Investigators could be certain that she had arrived at 110 Tremont before midnight on the 22nd. Her Chevy Equinox was captured taking a right turn into the building parking lot.
Okay.
The Chevy was also captured leaving. Indeed, it could be tracked to the condominium buildings from Jason's apartment building. At about 8:30 p.m. the day after Jasmine arrived, a figure in a light-colored hoodie was captured driving it from the building towards the Signal View condos. A dark-colored Prius, likely a hired taxi, collected that driver from the condos and dropped them off in front of Jason's building. A ring camera from the apartment door directly beside an exit door to the parking lot captured Jason Chen leaving the building on multiple occasions on the 23rd.
And if you really pay attention to his movement, he knows that there's a camera there, okay? But he's ducking his head down, keeping his head down. I don't trust this Jason. Do y'all? Y'all trust Jason?
Including at 8:27 p.m., 3 minutes before the driver in the light hoodie took Jasmine's SUV to the Signal View condos and left it there. There were a few additional trips made by Jason Chen over the Thanksgiving holiday that piqued the interest of investigators.
You see, it looks like sometimes he's trying to hide his face from the camera, and then sometimes he just doesn't care. So we're about to see what's going on with Mr. Jason.
The first was a morning trip to Walmart, alone, where he purchased, amongst other things, Band-Aids, peroxide, and cleaning products. Captured using the self-checkout, he ran a few of the more expensive items through as asparagus. The overhead Walmart camera offered a clear view of Jason's pair of white sneakers.
Okay, so he did the self-checkout, but instead of charging himself for the real item, he put down that it was asparagus. So he's sort of kind of on the smart side. But let's see if he pays with cash or a credit card.
These shoes were thought to be the same pair found discarded outside of the apartment dumpsters. On the evening of the same day, Jason stopped at a Walgreens and purchased a package of paper towels. Sometime between his trip to Walmart that morning and the time he left the blood-stained and hastily cleaned apartment, he must have taken Jasmine from the building, discarding items of his clothing as part of an attempt to cover his tracks. As investigators tracked the computer science student on various footage throughout Chattanooga, they were aided by his notable white hoodie, a bright and distinct article of clothing that could be identified even in dark and sometimes fuzzy surveillance video.
So they didn't say if he paid with cash or a credit card. A lot of these dumb murderers, they wind up using their credit card when they go to buy these cleaning supplies.
At almost 6 p.m. on the 23rd, the white hoodie emerged from the building once more. This time, the figure was struggling to pull a large suitcase from the front door of the building towards the parking lot.
That ain't a good sign. Does anybody think that Jasmine is in this suitcase? Because it looks like he having a hard time getting this suitcase down the street.
Moments later, Jason's black Toyota Camry was captured leaving.
Does he have Jasmine in the trunk?
On November 29th, 1 week after Jasmine was last seen, Jason Chen was located at his parents' home in Nolensville. Arresting officers noticed lacerations on Jason's right hand and feet, indicative of a violent struggle.
So that's probably why he purchased the Band-Aids, because he himself was injured. So now they're at Jason's parents' home.
pat you down, you can place in handcuffs. Not place you in arrest, you just call us and you go to the back of the car, so you can put handcuffs. Go.
Okay. So you said there was a search warrant
for
me, correct?
Yeah, there's search warrant for your person, so we're Norfolk Police Department. We're going to be detaining you and flashing the search warrant. We're assisting you.
Okay. And is there any like calls or anything?
Yeah, they're going to explain. That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to let them do that, but I don't want to speak for them. Yeah, we don't want to misinform you of anything, so they'll tell you all that when we get down there. So just take it with them. They're the lead on this. But we'll let them explain it because we don't want to pile on information. We'll let them one time it all down.
Okay.
All right. So if you will, just face away from me.
A search warrant was obtained for the house. In the room used by Jason, a black backpack and a collection of handwritten notes were confiscated. Some of these notes appear to have been Jason trying to get his story straight. One stated that he had last seen her on November 19th. They had spoken on the 22nd.
So Jason is trying to create his own timeline as to what he's going to tell the police.
He wrote that she had a history of running away and had a restraining order against an ex. It seemed that Jason had planned for his inevitable interview with police by recording that Jasmine had also been homeless. He wrote that he thought her mother was an alcoholic, all suggestive of her being an unpredictable runaway. In his backpack, inside of a glasses case, detectives found a SIM card. It was for Jasmine's device. They also obtained Jason's phone and downloaded the data. On Jason's cell phone, detectives found a picture of Jasmine standing in his bathroom, taken on the night of her disappearance. There were multiple screenshots saved as well of text messages he had gotten from Jasmine, but the actual texts themselves were missing.
So it's obvious that Jasmine was with Jason the night before she was murdered. But was it Jason that murdered her? He's doing a lot of cover up, guys. He is trying to cover up something.
On the morning after she had likely been killed, he sent her a photo along with a note, "Slept like a baby." Later that day, he asked, "Hey, are we still good for dinner tonight?" The photo's metadata revealed it was taken 2 years prior.
Wow.
From Jasmine's phone data, detectives could see that.
So the message that he is claiming that's current was actually a message from 2 years earlier. So that's something else.
Her device had taken the trip to Walmart along with Jason that morning, though he was shown on camera driving and shopping alone.
Okay, so evidently Jason has Jasmine's cell phone on him, and that's how the police are able to track, what's going on. She was clearly not in the store. It was just Jason alone by himself.
Finally, the phone's movements revealed where he had traveled after loading the large suitcase into his Camry. He had taken a drive to Suck Creek Road. The road ran parallel to the bank of a river. On Thursday, December 1st, walking along the bank of the river, investigators spotted an item. It was what they were, unfortunately, expecting to find: Jason Chen's large suitcase. Inside the suitcase, they found 98-pound Jasmine Pace. She was wrapped in 3 trash bags and had been shackled with 2 handcuffs. Her right arm was cut.
Why is it that he didn't try to put her over into the water unless he thought it was going to go down the stream? I don't understand that.
Cuffed to her right ankle, and her left ankle was linked to her right elbow. They were not law enforcement-style handcuffs. These were less substantial. The chain of one was broken. An autopsy determined that Jasmine had been stabbed no less than 60 times. Her wounds were centered in one area of her body, primarily the upper left side. The tip of a knife was removed from her chest.
Evidently, the knife broke off into her chest.
Jasmine was a devoted aunt to 2 nieces and
Sad.
godmother to a little boy
Sad.
named Waylon. According to her older sister Gabby, Jasmine wanted nothing more than to have children of her own and always talked about what kind of mother she would be. She was also an animal lover and cherished her 4 cats. To those closest to her, the fun and sweet 22-year-old had always been known as Jazzy. Fiercely protective of her family and friends, Jasmine is remembered as someone who was always there for a friend in need, to share her love and support.
There's a moment when you're with her, you realized how clever, how smart, how brilliant she was.
Knowing how many lives that she touched and them spreading the word on my sister, I think it also touched other people's hearts that have probably gone through a situation like this.
I've known her my entire life, and I've never seen her burn a bridge or have ends with someone badly.
She just always made it a point to know, for you to know, that she was thinking of you and that she loved you. She was fierce over her family. She was fierce over her friends.
Well loved young lady. Well loved. I just don't understand, though, why it took 4 days for the parents to say, hey, something is wrong. I normally hear from my daughter every day, something is wrong.
In December 2022, a judge set Jason Chen's bond at $5 million.
Good.
As the gruesome nature of the murder reached the news media, many expressed disgust that Jason was offered a bond at all. By this stage, a complete timeline had been pieced together, including evidence that showed Jason had used Jasmine's phone and SIM card to access her banking information, her social media accounts, and to post fake updates after the murder. To a woman he had connected with on Tinder, he messaged, "I guess we're dating now," as Jasmine allegedly still lied dead in his bedroom. To friends later that night, he arranged to play Call of Duty online. He just needed to finish cleaning up his apartment, apparently. It was difficult to imagine what defense, if any, Jason Chen's legal team would put forward when the case came to trial, which is 2025. In a shocking development on day one, defense attorney Josh Wise did not fight for his client's innocence. In opening statements, he told the jury Jason Chen killed Jasmine Pace, but that he didn't do it with premeditation. This is a case of voluntary manslaughter. Although the state was not pursuing the death penalty, Jason faced a life sentence without the possibility of parole if found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. His best defense was to argue a lesser charge applied.
So why did he put her in his own suitcase? Why didn't he buy, with cash, another suitcase? It's crazy.
This is the suitcase in which Jason Chen stuffed the 98-pound body of Jasmine Pace. That's where I'm going to begin the story. Except I want you to remember that as you hear evidence in the next week, that this is not a story like the one that you read in a novel where you have to imagine the appearances of characters. The evidence that you will hear in this case is very real. The evidence will not require that you use your imagination. Jasmine Pace was very real. And Jason Chen really killed her.
For the crime to be deemed voluntary manslaughter, the defense needed to convince the jury that Jason had killed Jasmine in a fit of passion, into reacting in an irrational way, which led to her death. The theory they posited was that the couple were drinking wine at his apartment late into the night. When Jasmine entered the kitchen to get another bottle, she heard the distinct sound of notifications from the Tinder dating app. These rang out repeatedly from her boyfriend's phone. Angered by this, she began to argue with him. The claim was that Jasmine attacked Jason with a broken wine glass.
You really need to stop lying.
To remove the seal from the previous wine bottle in the bedroom, he had left it sitting on the bedside table. It was this knife that Jason instinctively reached for when he was attacked. Wise explained away the shackles found on Jasmine's body by arguing that Jason had panicked after the stabbing. He applied the handcuffs in order to make Jasmine fit inside of the bags in the suitcase.
I don't know. You put the handcuffs on after she was dead. That don't sound right. Sounds like you put the handcuffs on before.
The timeline of the murder and attempted cover-up was detailed extensively through videos, Jason and Jasmine's cell phone data, as well as testimony from neighbors in the apartment building. Courtney Brewer reported hearing an altercation take place after 2 a.m.
On the night of November the 22nd, and in the early hours of November the 23rd, was there an incident that you can recall?
Yes, I was woken up in the middle of the night by a loud scream.
Can you kind of take us, and you can go slowly through the events that woke you up and everything that you heard from that point until you didn't hear it?
There was a scream that startled me out of my sleep. I checked my phone to see the time because I was going to call 911. It was around 2 a.m. There was a...
So this is a neighbor of Jason's.
Voice that was screaming words. The words I couldn't understand fully.
Was it a male voice or female?
A female voice. And then there sounded, assuming that the apartment above mine is laid out the same as mine, there sounded like chasing, a lot of footsteps going across towards the front door.
One person's footsteps or two?
It sounded like multiple.
You said towards the front door. Was it towards the front door or towards the bedroom?
Towards the front door because I was in the bedroom when I heard it.
You had said that you heard a scream. Can you describe the scream?
Distressed, not quite angry, emphatic.
Recreating a possible scenario for the murder itself was heavily dependent upon the physical evidence left at the crime scene.
So evidently, this neighbor, she is saying the night before, she actually heard like an altercation, roughly about 2 a.m. It sounds like some tussling, running back and forth to the front door, to the bedroom, and some screaming going on. So it sounds like Jason and Jasmine were having a big disagreement.
This is where the case became messy. Not only had Jason used various types of cleaning agents inside the apartment and disposed of many items, including the broken knife, the scene had also been accessed and searched by Katrina Pace, now Katrina Bean, multiple times. Questions were raised over potential contamination of the crime scene.
Why would the apartments look different after the police went in there than when?
So this is the mother of Jasmine. So they're saying like maybe some of the scene was manipulated. And are they trying to say it was manipulated by the mother? This is getting weird.
They were in there. Who changed it?
The defense called its own crime scene expert to walk through the many changes that were visible at the scene between the first time police were called out to the point in time that it was photographed and processed. Furniture had been moved. Items had been taken. They questioned whether evidence could have been planted. Travis Pace testified that he did not
So are they trying to say that the mother planted evidence in order to make it seem like it was Jason?
recall seeing a knife on the bed when he first entered with his ex-wife to search for his daughter.
And then this past Monday, you were in this room when you saw Katrina Pace testify on that stand, right? Were any of those statements true?
We remember it differently.
You heard Katrina testify that she went back into the apartment multiple times after that night, or after that morning?
I heard that.
Were you with her those times?
I'm lost. How is it that the mother had access to the apartment? I'm lost about that.
You know what she did in the apartment during those times? Your ex-wife, Katrina Pace, does she have a reputation for being honest? Mr. Pace, in your opinion, does Katrina Pace, she a honest person?
I don't have an opinion.
You don't have.
So Jasmine's parents are now divorced. They're no longer. But it looks like something is going on with the mother. They think the mother has staged some of the evidence that was found in Jason's home.
If the scene itself was considered suspect, the conclusions made by the medical examiner were not, and they pointed to a premeditated attack. Dr. Stephen Cogswell, the Hamilton County medical examiner, concluded that based on the location of the wounds, Jasmine had been in the fetal position while she was attacked. The shackles that she was found wearing had therefore likely been applied when she was still alive.
Exactly.
If someone were stabbing a person 60 times, we would expect them to try to get away. But what if they can't? What if they can't because their right hand is chained to their right leg, their left leg chained to their right elbow? Makes it difficult to run.
Exactly.
Makes it difficult to do anything.
That's what I said. I don't believe that he put the handcuffs on after in order to stuff her in the suitcase. I believe that he put the handcuffs on first and then he killed her.
Dr. Cogswell told you that she was stabbed in the fetal position 60 times. We'd also expect that if she's being attacked on the right side of her body, that she might try to defend herself with both hands. There should be injuries on both hands. Instead, what we have are injuries to the left hand, no significant injuries to the right hand. That's consistent with her being in the fetal position with a hand unable to move on the ground.
So he handcuffed her first, not the other way around. He said he handcuffed her in order to shove her in the suitcase. But the evidence showed that there's a great possibility she was handcuffed first.
It's consistent with exactly what we see on the screen right there. Her being handcuffed.
Dr. Cogswell also found no alcohol consumption upon her death, countering Jason's claim that they had drank wine for hours. The provocation that he had pointed to in order to make the murder fit the definition of manslaughter, those Tinder notifications which apparently angered Jasmine, were also a lie. When the data from the app was examined by a state expert, they found that he had not received a single Tinder notification to his phone that entire day.
There you go. So he claims that because he was getting messages from this dating app that Jasmine got upset and started attacking him first. And this is what set off the chain of events. But as you can see, they tracked it back that he hadn't had a notification from that dating app in quite some time.
Jason Chen chose not to testify in his defense. Evidence was presented over 6 days.
Okay.
In closing arguments, his legal team essentially abandoned their attempts to support his original story, pointing instead to a lack of ligature marks on Jasmine's wrists, which they said would be present if she was alive when handcuffed. Their crime scene expert had attempted to introduce doubt that Jasmine had been cuffed when alive by pointing to what could have been a bloody handprint on the bedsheets. Under cross-examination, however, he said that he couldn't be certain of what the transfer stain was. It had never been tested. Explanations to counter the rest of the state's evidence was not forthcoming. In addition, the shackles were not the only indication that the murder was premeditated. The number of wounds indicated that there was ample time for Jason to have contemplated and ended the attack.
Yes, you stabbed her 60 times. This dude was upset. He was upset.
Prosecutor Cody Wamp concluded by recounting the timeline, specifically Courtney Brewer's recollection of hearing people running towards the apartment door at exactly 2:11 a.m.
Courtney was 2:11 a.m. The phone location to her mom was 2:18. 7 minutes. She screamed. Things happened. She was able to know she was in enough danger that she needed to send her mother her location. It wasn't fast at all, and we know that. 2:11 is 7 minutes from 2:18. It wasn't fast. She knew she was in danger. She tried to get out of the door, and Courtney told you that she heard a door slam. Jasmine knew she was in trouble. She had time to use her phone before he started killing her.
Sad.
Jurors began deliberation at about 4:15 p.m. following the closing arguments. They came back with a verdict just after 5.
With respect to count 1 of presentment 315-228, we, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Chen, guilty of first-degree premeditated murder.
We need some make things go on, please.
A juror later revealed that Jasmine's family members entering the crime scene repeatedly had little impact on the jury's decision, stating, "Every single person who went into that room or that apartment had a part in contamination. But it kind of didn't matter on our deliberations because we already knew what was admitted, that he had murdered her." During the sentencing phase of trial, jurors were faced with the decision of whether Jason Chen should be given an opportunity to seek parole at some point in his life.
Please.
Through a translator, Jason Chen's mother made an emotional plea to the jury. "He is a very good child.
Bullshit.
He is not a bad person. I pray that the judge and jury will give him a chance so that he can go home and restart his life."
You really need to stop lying.
Wise asked the jury to offer his client the hope of redemption. He stated that the justice system is not only a measure of how we treat the most virtuous and innocent among us, but also a reflection of how we treat the condemned.
By allowing Jason the possibility of parole, we affirm our society's belief that the most condemned among us can strive to rebuild their humanity.
Okay, what about Jasmine? Jasmine don't get no second chances. Just Jason. Is that my understanding? This is cuckoo.
You're not tasked with forgiving Jason Chen or even excusing his actions.
Yeah.
You are tasked with ensuring justice, a justice tempered with mercy. Not because Jason deserves it, but because it's a reflection of our humanity as a whole. I ask that, and we ask, that you give Jason the opportunity, as a 73-year-old man, to seek this redemption. Let him spend the next 5 decades behind bars, reflecting on the choices that he made when he was 22 years old.
The jury returned with their sentencing decision in under an hour.
With respect to the sentence of the defendant, Jason Chen, on count 1 of presentment 315-228, we, the jury, do unanimously find the following statutory aggravating circumstances beyond a reasonable doubt, in that the murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel, and that it involved torture or serious physical abuse beyond that necessary to produce death, and do unanimously agree that the defendant's sentence shall be life imprisonment without the possibility of parole.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.